you mind putting your water over here so I can drink some?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted it hidden or...
No, like, yeah, we drink water on this podcast. Welcome back to beautiful sunny Colorado, episode 14. Cheerleading's back. We're back. Let's do this. Oh, book comes out at the end of the month. Make sure you guys are on the pre-order list. Music's on!
You ready for this? Who live is us? Who lit is this? Who real is us? We too legit. We are M-A-R-K-T-A-R-U. Mark Thru Podcast. Listen and learn. Watch and observe. Challenging us. They got some nerve. He great. You mad? Don't hate. Get to it. Don't wait. We do not hesitate. We doing what it takes. What we do. Mark Thru.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here. It is episode 14. It's been a nice 5-month plus hiatus from the podcast, from cheerleading. I wouldn't say necessarily it's been a nice hiatus. We've definitely been bored and missing it. But when there's no cheerleading, it's hard to podcast about cheerleading.
Yeah, we wanted to. I know there was multiple times where we were like, well, why don't we try to do something like this? And then we were just like, but why? It doesn't matter. It's so lame. We're not trying to put out like a half-butt routine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So we're glad that cheerleading is essentially back. Competitions have been happening in person.
Our spirits
virtual.
Are higher.
Yes, and even we competed at a cheer competition yesterday. It was so wonderful.
I forgot what those butterflies felt like.
I forgot how to pack my coaching bag.
It was fun to pack our bags yesterday and be like, okay, let's go through our checklist. Where are our checklists?
I mean, that was the first time we'd gone to a competition in 13 months.
Ugh, and it felt like 13 months. Not the team, not them, us. I was like, we should never have to go this long without competing ever again. That was horrible.
Just like the normal February to October pause is normally long enough, and that's 7-8 months.
Yeah. And we never felt ready by October either. So this was we felt more than ready. I think I keep describing it to people as this has just been the longest, shortest season we've ever had. You know, because it's we get new kind of restrictions and new rules and things like that month after month.
And
so it's
the competition aspect of the season
is only 5 weeks essentially.
It's way shorter, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been wild. It's been wild. A lot of pivoting. A lot of pivot.
Pivot. So it was just so nice being there.
It was.
Granted, it was a weird competition. There weren't spectators.
Correct.
I mean, there were judges and there were score sheets and stuff, but because it was the first competition, as local high school competition, they didn't do scoring and they didn't do placing, just to kind of give everyone that sigh of relief, which was nice. I think that took a lot of the pressure off for our kids. It took a lot of the pressure off for us.
Can you imagine all the kids, the nerves?
Exactly.
The nerves were probably insane.
And, the schedule was spaced out a lot more. There was a lot more time in between teams. So I think when we were there, we only saw maybe 3 or 4 other teams. We only saw 3 or 4 of our coaching friends.
And they were all outside. We never passed another team in the building, which is crazy.
Yeah, there were teams in front of us. But
right.
We never passed them.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting. So
it was nice because we have to kind of get ready ourselves outside, and was very fortunate that Colorado had good weather yesterday.
The best weather.
March. Oh, it was beautiful. It was
65 and sunny.
65.
Yeah. When
2 weeks ago it was -8, so it's love it.
With so much snow. That's typical.
So it was nice to be able to know that we're not going to be in the bleachers all day during a competition or stuck in our little huddle area.
Totally.
So we got to be outside, and we were at the back of the parking lot, and the girls kind of treated it like a little tailgate. We didn't have food or anything, but they turned on music and they were helping each other get ready, and they were doing the whole hair and lips and tattoos thing. And
I had a smile on my face that whole time. And I know that's such a weird little thing, but just watching them get ready and see them in uniform and putting on lips.
It's special to them.
Yes, and it's special to watch. I know that's such a weird little, maybe it's because we're parents and we're all sentimental now, but it was just so It was cool. It was just great. It was, obviously, we are just elated to be back.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why we coach to provide great experiences for young people based on the great experiences we had. And I think that was the true reflection of that yesterday is we were like, you finally get this back.
Oddly enough, some of my favorite memories from college cheer and high school cheer, I think is that piece of like getting ready with your teammates. Like, hey, everybody, we're meeting at Susie's house. I'm bringing these curling irons. She's going to do this. I'll do the braids. Somebody's going to do lips. Like, and because it is just a whole process, I just love it. I love it. So I don't know. So watching them get ready yesterday, I was like, man, it is good to be back.
It's just so good to have cheerleading back. We didn't really have like too much of an absence of it over the last 13 months because like we were able to do some open gyms and we were able to do socially distanced practice and like work up to official off season, and then now when 2021 we're in the season.
It's been weird. We've been at practice. We've had those restrictions, but not having game day is another huge piece that I miss.
I mean, our kids miss it so badly.
I know.
It's rough for the seniors because like last night was the last regular season game. They didn't get to cheer a single game this year. It's like, ugh.
And they love basketball.
Yeah.
They get hyped for basketball.
They do. We make that gym loud.
I mean, being a couple of Kansas kids, we kind of get hyped for basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball's
a pretty big deal in Kansas.
It's just like invented there. No big deal.
No big deal. But yeah, just being back, it was so great. And I mean, we of course have had so much going on in our personal life, like over the last 13 months also, like,
Do we even get into it?
No, we don't, because nobody cares. But on top of that, it's like we've, been trying to make ourselves busy not having cheerleading. And so that's why we got into being authors and making a book and trying to just be connected to cheerleading still. Like, even though we didn't get to do it all, we didn't have the normal season, it's like, as we were having it held at bay from us, it was like, no, we're going to still be involved with cheerleading.
Yeah.
Like, we know that kids want cheerleading. We know families and parents want cheerleading, gyms and schools. So we're going to keep doing cheerleading. And we've seen similar from other friends and coaches of ours. So I think the last year has been hard for cheerleading, but I think it's been really good to see as a reminder of all the things that built cheerleading to be what it is. Because, I mean, obviously there's been negatives in the past 13 months that have come out related to cheerleading, all the abuse and scandal. I mean, like, I even spoke to one of those USA Today reporters.
Yeah.
They, I just sent one of those gals a message. I just said thank you for the coverage and just thanked her for kind of just pushing forward in this mess and trying to clean it up and trying to call attention to the problems so that kids can be protected. I mean, right now we have one kid. We have a second one on the way.
Yes. We sure do.
If you had any questions, yes, there's a second one.
I'm not just fat. She was kicking just a second ago too.
But, we've had the discussion with us and with our friends that are also parents. Of young people, of young kids, and we've all kind of said, do we want to put our kids in cheerleading? Like, we would love our kids to do cheerleading. Some of them have already done so because their kids are that age. And I think cheerleading as a whole is safe. And I think cheerleading as a whole is good for development of kids and stuff. But I think there's some areas that we as parents and coaches need to speak up more about. Not just you and I, but others that are parents and coaches. We all need to speak up because we are the ones that are most connected to it. We're the most concerned about it. We shall see how the future of cheerleading takes itself, how the governing bodies have, right now they've not responded well. No. To any of it. Hopefully the right decisions can be made. More conversations can be had to protect more kids in the end, because right now kids are falling between the cracks and kids are getting hurt.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
Yeah.
Switching it up, talking about some of the competitions that have been happening in 2021. I think maybe there were a few in December, some virtuals, some small local competitions. More on the all-star side, of course.
I know down in the South, they were having regionals and kind of their normal things, but just much smaller capacities, no spectators. In person still, but that wasn't happening all over the country. That was just in, like, certain areas, so... They've been happening. Some people listening probably think we sound crazy that we are just now getting to compete.
I think everyone was looking forward to, turning a page, turning the year over and getting into 2021 and starting. And Varsity All-Star was excited. They said we locked down the World Congress Center in Atlanta for cheer sport. It's typically one of the biggest competitions in the world. We're going to, put in all the safety protocols. We're going to do our best to work with the Georgia and Atlanta health departments. And they were really getting everything going, trying to make cheerleading happen, trying to make in-person happen. And I guess all of that build-up in February led to it just being in the headlines for like 2 straight weeks in advance of the event.
Yeah, that wasn't great. So there was we saw the picture floating around on Twitter of like all of these spectators in the open lobby. A lot of masks, a lot of no masks, a lot of masks down below the chin. So then it kind of just became this big thing of this is going to be a super spreader event, blah, blah, blah.
Like it was getting local news headlines.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think people working the event acted quickly once they saw that hit and they cleared out the lobby right away. And I know other parts of the arena were completely empty. People wearing masks, blah, blah, blah. I think the only thing that we saw, because we were not really surprised to see that happening, we saw a new rule come out during the competition of if you were like a spectator of a team and you're not wearing a mask. Listen, we're always trying to make this sport as legitimate as the next, right? So like for them to just make up a rule in the middle of the competition, but I understand the severity of it. We're not, they're like, we're
in the middle of a Pandora.
Right. In the middle of a Panda Express, we are like trying to host a competition for the kids and let them compete. And then you have spectators essentially ruining it. Because gyms were like, if you drop that mask below your nose, you're in trouble with coach. Because I know we are like that with our kids.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
it wasn't the gyms, it wasn't the coaches, it wasn't the kids, it was the spectators. So they're like, parents, we love you, thank you for your support, but you were about to ruin the rest of the season. So then there was this fear of, is this the only in-person competition All-Star's going to get all season? Is this going to become a super spreader? And then is this going to cancel everything?
Yeah. Are we going to end up canceling Worlds again, Summit again? And so, so I think it got heated because people were like, no, you're doing it right. You're not doing it right. And I think with the spectator thing, it's tricky, just like at all our grocery stores and stuff, because the mask rules say if you're eating or drinking, you can take your mask off.
Yeah.
Well, at the cheer sport event, they had food trucks and they had concessions.
That's tricky.
So if you're holding a drink, who's to say that you have to be wearing your mask that moment? Like, do you have to pull it down every sip,
Well, I know when we walk around the grocery store, we see people with their Starbucks and their masks are down around their chin and they just keep their Starbucks like right underneath of their faces to be like, I'm not putting my mask on because I'm drinking my Starbucks while I'm buying groceries. Yeah. So it's just one of those funny, finicky things that we like to make complicated as humans.
And, I think Varsity All-Star acted quickly. They put out that statement about the adjusted rule and stuff. They acted quickly. They got their staff on it. We heard from some of our friends that were at the event that there really wasn't an issue. We saw photos of other parts. I think
like empty hallways, empty rooms.
I think just that opening morning, and I think like the excitement of we were feeling yesterday and talking about the beginning of this episode, I think others were feeling that too. They're seeing teams, they're seeing their friends. Cheerleading's a small sport, everyone knows each other. And so I think at the beginning of it, people got carried away and had to be reminded, like, this is a place where we need to be safe and we need to be worried about spreading.
This was hard to get here, but it can easily be taken away. So I think I think they got it under control pretty quickly. I just didn't love that we're just like making up rules, but I do understand the severity of it, of like, we gotta behave.
That's the part that I was irked by the most, because as a coach and going to varsity competitions, you sign for the rules in advance. Your team can't compete if you don't agree to the rules. And I think the worrying thing is that there was no statement or comment from either of our governing bodies. USA Cheer, no comment. USASF, the all-star governing body, no comment on it. And, maybe they're taking the stance you just mentioned of, hey, they're trying to get everybody in shape because this can all be taken away. that's fine, but I think that there would have been other ways to do that. So if spectators were being problematic and unsafe, they should have been removed. Kids should not be penalized for their on-mat performance.
Do you remember seeing
from a spectator?
Do you remember seeing how many gyms were posting, like, spectators of our gym, if you're caught, we will remove you? Mm-hmm. Like, I know a lot of gyms were taking the stance of, we're not even going to let this happen to the kids, because they've been the one in the gym with the kids. So
yeah, they've had it taken away too.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I think Varsity All-Star did make the right choices, but ultimately I think the taking points away at the end from kids when it's not necessarily the kids' fault is problematic. On the other side of competitions, NCAA Dallas was supposed to be happening this weekend as we're recording. I mean, awards are being held throughout today. They were happening yesterday, so a lot of people are being crowned NCAA national champions, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to talk about is that it was an all virtual competition. It is also one of the biggest and most well-attended competitions.
Oh my gosh, it's huge. It's one of our favorite events to go work when we were working these events. It's huge. I just think about that massive hallway, packed shoulder to shoulder with people.
It's like a sea of people to walk through, and yeah.
Did it happen last year? It happened last year, didn't
it happened because it was in February.
Yeah. Mm.
But so it came down to that Dallas is still limiting large events.
Sure.
So NCAA said, okay, we understand, this is going to be too problematic. It'll be a week-long event with trying to deal with precautions and safety measures. So they said, we're going to make it virtual. Yes, it's a bummer, but we all know the power of this event and how, the tradition of it and the excitement of it. So NCAA really reached out to those teams and the coaches and the gyms, and they said, let's make this still great. We're still going to do NCAA week. Mm-hmm. We encourage you guys to do themes. So I think NCAA did a really great job in keeping the spirits up and still making it an exciting virtual only event. So props to those guys. I know they've been working hard. They're still literally working right now. They probably have another...
I know awards are going... I saw...
They probably have another 12 hours of competition.
Yeah, I was checking Twitter before we started, and I saw they were doing kind of like watch parties in their gyms, and everybody's in masks and things, and that's what we're going to have to do. I mean, we're submitting virtual taping for high school nationals because we're not allowed to leave the state per our district, which is fine. We're sad, of course.
And UCA is doing a great job trying to encourage the kids and creating that space and the virtual divisions. And us as coaches, we're
trying to make it as special for them as possible, especially for these seniors, because they didn't walk off the floor last year. They didn't know last year in front of the castle was the last time as a high school athlete. So I think the only good out of it is some of them were feeling kind of burnt out and not wanting to cheer in college. Mm-hmm. And now having that taken away, they're like, no, we're going to cheer in front of the castle again.
Totally.
So that's cool.
Is correct. But yeah, so NCAA, they're going virtual because of, the rules in Dallas and everything. But what's interesting is last weekend in Fort Worth, which is also in Texas, Fort Worth and Dallas are neighboring cities or sister cities. I don't know how people call it. I'm not a Texan. I'm sorry, Texas. Don't come at me too hard. I don't know how your cities work. But there was a big in-person competition in Fort Worth. I think it was, I can't remember the name of it. But it was there. It was in Fort Worth. I saw a lot of people just rave reviews of the event, of the experience, of pushing for a safe event for the kids to go attend. So I think some Colorado teams had gone down there. We'd seen it was getting just all the love because I think it was one of the first big in-person competitions to happen. But then it left a lot of people going, well, if this was happening, why aren't we doing NCAA next weekend?
Oh, sure. That's a good question. Yeah.
And, and the result of taping, while it sounds, it's great, it's virtual, taping's stressful. If
you've ever been a college athlete that
you already knew it.
that had to do taping for college nationals, the struggle of taping. But I think taping's harder. I wish we were going in person with our team because...
with the crowd to give you that energy.
Yeah, you get your one and done. with taping,
and it is what it is.
Yeah, with taping, it is what it is. You make it what it is,
right.
And that's almost a pure reflection of your coaching, which might be where that internal pressure comes for me, because I remember taping as an athlete, and I still have nightmares about taping as an athlete.
I loved taping. Oh,
So you're nuts.
I loved it.
No, I hated it.
I was so sad when they.
My body hurts from those baskets. I can't. But I think it's good that you and I both experienced taping as college athletes, because I know they took that away, which, by the way, bring that back, because that was awesome.
So fun. Even though you're talking about all
it's awesome. My whole body hurt all the time, but like it makes I thought it made cheerleading better. I really did. So who knows? Maybe this virtual taping for high school nationals or these other competitions, maybe it's making cheerleading better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could look at Maybe we could look at next season and be like, everybody's a lot stronger because of the reps, because of the consistency, because of the perseverance everybody had. So I don't know. I hate taping. I do not like that we're doing virtual nationals, but who knows? Maybe it'll make good for the sport.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen people like this. Taping's interesting because I think people go at it in different ways.
Sure.
They approach it either, okay, do your performance. We're gonna tape the whole thing, and if there's an issue, we'll try it again, and we'll work on trying to not have that issue. Where on the other hand, some people they hit start, and if there's one issue, they stop.
Oh.
And they start again, because if you're taping for perfection.
Oh, sure.
Why go through doing the second half if you knew somebody had a bobble or an issue? I think that that can be beneficial in getting a good hit, but I think that can be have negative consequences in terms of wearing the kids down and
killing momentum, if you will.
Killing momentum, and also just having a backup tape.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be fine doing that once we had a decent hit.
Right.
And then saying, okay, now we're going to push for perfection. We know we have a good hit that we can send in, but if we want it better than this, it needs to be better than it throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to press pause if it isn't, So, but I think a lot of the frustration with the Fort Worth and the NCAA Dallas stuff is that people are dealing with the taping.
Yeah.
And they had to send them in before Fort Worth or right after this Fort Worth competition, and then they see this in person happening, and then they're like, it's in the same state, they're 20 minutes away from each other, why aren't we going to Dallas? Why have we been breaking our backs for 3 weeks getting this taping?
Yeah.
But when really it comes down to either a city or county health department, comes down to the rules of the capacity, so many things that are outside of cheerleading's control.
And cheerleading doesn't need to be in the headlines right now. We've been in the headlines all year.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Let's just go virtual. We can deal with this. We can deal with this a little bit longer. We're so close. We're so close to whatever you want to call normal. We're so close. So like, everybody just hang on. The optimist in me is saying we're so close to normalcy again.
Right. Yeah. So
whatever that looks like for you.
So, congrats to everyone being named NCAA champions today.
Congrats. That's a big deal.
It definitely is a big deal. A lot of people have been working hard since last summer, last spring. I know some teams...
Because their season got canceled.
Exactly. Some of these higher level teams didn't get to go to World. Some of these lower level teams, they didn't get to go to Summit.
Yeah.
Some people just didn't even get to finish their season, even if you weren't doing a postseason event. I know some gyms and programs... they just kept the same routine.
Yep.
Because they said we didn't get to finish it. Let's go at it. Let's finish what we started. So it's been a journey for people. So I'm just so thankful cheerleading's back and people are getting the experience. Kids are getting back on the mat to perform, and that's the number one thing. So what's coming up outside of our taping in HSCC for high school nationals? That's going to be in person and virtual. So we're working on that. I don't know how much podcast related content we'll do as that happens as we get into April. But I think where our focus of this show is on the college events. I know last year we had a lot of fun hyping up and doing predictions for UCA College.
We're doing those again?
Totally, yeah. And we had plans to do that for NCAA, but that all got taken away because Daytona got canceled back a year ago in March. So we've been dying to do that for NCAA. Literally we watched Cheer on Netflix, and then we did in UCA college.
Oh, we were so ready.
We were so ready. It was going to be so exciting.
Yeah.
But then Miss Rona made her appearance.
I'm just really excited NCAA is happening. I think I might be more excited for NCAA this year than I have been in almost 10 years, because the last time I went to NCAA Nationals as a athlete, I didn't compete. I was an alternate. Disclaimer. But went to the bandshell back in 2010. And so I think I'm just really excited because we have some of our former kids competing at the bandshell this year. It's going to be an outdoor event, like it always is. Obviously, part inside, part outside, but
I don't know.
It should be a great event.
I haven't looked at the full schedule. It's April 7th through 11th, which is 4 days. So they may be trying to do it all outdoors.
Interesting.
To just avoid having any indoor mess, but being, that I've done countless events down at Daytona related to the live stream and stuff, I do know that they are planning to still use indoors because it can rain. You're
always
on the
a
beach.
Plan.
You're in the springtime. There's a chance for some bad weather. So
I'm so excited.
So it should be outside. There might be some inside capacity, but yeah. So that's April 7th to 11th. I mean, they just released the partner stunt results. So co-ed and all-girl and mascot for NCAA.
We haven't seen any tapes yet.
Yes, so if you are a coach and you had athletes do it, will you please post your videos?
Yeah, I want to see them.
TikTok exists, Instagram exists, YouTube exists. I mean, you could just email it to us. We just love to watch. I mean, if we don't have to post it if you don't want to post it, but we want to watch cheerleading.
Yeah,
y'all post it. The Mark Thru at gmail.com.
Send them in.
But otherwise, tag them if you post them and we missed it.
Yeah.
I think that helps build up the fun of the event. I understand if you didn't have a perfect tape and you're working on it or you're changing your routine. The whole secrecy in cheerleading is weird to me still. It always will be, but I think it will always exist, so it's not a soapbox I'm on. So, and NCAA is also doing virtual for college, so that'll be in part of our predictions.
They're offering both. Makes sense. I know a lot of universities have been fully locked down their spirit programs. I know a lot of programs have lost a lot of athletes because they're hey, if you don't want to hang on for this ride, then you don't have to stay.
And if you're not getting a full scholarship, what are you hanging around for unless it's your degree?
1,000%. So it's just interesting. So we'll see who shows up. We'll see how many teams are competing. I'm excited to cover the event and just see how all of these teams do. Our friends, our former athletes, our co-coaches that we talk to on a weekly basis. So NCAA should be a fun, wild ride this year.
So the virtual divisions for NCAA they have, they've listed them. So advanced large, advanced small, advanced all-girl, and then advanced game day. There's some intermediates, and then there's the new NCAA Spirit Rally. But for our purposes, if you're trying to plan ahead and get excited, we're going to be doing predictions related to the advanced division. So we'll have the advanced virtual, and then we'll have the in-person. So we'll be getting that ready this month and then posting our sheets, and hopefully we can do a pre-episode and then a follow-up episode for both.
Be gracious with us around that time though, because we're due to have a baby around and around that time as well. So
we are.
So I mean, yes, we can plan all of that. Absolutely, we might just be a week or so delayed.
Do we have a book coming out too?
We might have a book that's en route and will be for sale probably by the end of this month.
Okay, tight.
Yeah.
So crazy spring for us.
Kind of, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Newborn, new book.
Nationals,
all the things. It's the whole world decided to shut off and then just turn back on all at the same time.
And then 3 weeks later is UCA College. So that's that's delayed. So the NCAA College is more around its traditional time. I don't think they had to change the date at all.
It didn't happen last year though.
It didn't.
So it is nice that they're gonna happen.
But so the UCA one typically halfway through January, kind of 2/3 of the way through January. So now it got moved to April, and I think that goes back to what you were saying about a lot of these programs that were shut down. A lot of athletes didn't hang around because campuses are closed. If you're an out-of-state kid, you're not close to with your team right now to go practice and open gym on your own. So it's been hard for a lot of college teams. So I think UCA did make a smart call in saying, nobody's going to be ready in January.
Yeah.
And if anybody is ready, it's going to be 3 teams, which good for those 3 teams, but that doesn't make a full competition, so we need to bump it back so that more teams can get ready.
Well, and I think during January they were thinking college nationals was going to be, it's in the middle of flu season, but it's also, usually like 3 weeks after Christmas, and they were predicting another big spike from Christmas. So I think it was wise to get it out of winter and get it into spring.
So UCA College, that's at the end of April 27th and 28th. Normally that's a 3-day event. Now it's going to be solely a 2-day event. So I think that's an unfortunate reflection of the limited amount of participants and stuff. But I think it's great that, we've seen a lot of our college coach friends, they're getting their teams ready. There's a lot of virtual happening. So I think, like we're experiencing in the high school side, it's very similar to the college side. It's very similar to the all-star side. Everyone's very thankful to be back, very appreciative to be back. And everyone just wants to be able to get back to doing what they love, and that's their sport of cheerleading. A couple interesting things about UCA College Nationals as we're looking ahead at that. There's no partner stunt. So in the previous years, it's been tricky to either find the scores, the results, the videos for partner stunt. I know that has to do with the whole ICU and international sport related to stuff. I think it's funny and interesting that they just took it out this year. I'm sure the UCA office has been reviewing hundreds and thousands of tapes, so they don't want more tapes to review with all these virtual things. So I understand the need to remove 50 extra tapes from the workload.
Especially if half of college nationals is going to be virtual submissions.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So, but they are doing mascots still, so I saw that they announced that. I know a lot of coaches are excited because part of that now includes a paid bid. So,
nice.
Getting all those props down there is not cheap, so I think that's very helpful for some of these spirit programs that don't have a lot of funds but that would like to have their mascots represented, have their university represented on such a scale. So that's awesome. And then another change, I don't think this is necessarily related to COVID. This was mostly a change just as a result of last year and the competitors. So they added small co-ed Division 1A.
Okay.
And I think we talked about this after the event when this news came out last spring briefly. So I think that'll be interesting to see how many compete in that.
Yeah.
I think if there was no virtual and it was all in person, I think we'd see a more interesting result in that pool.
Totally.
I know with all the changes in teams and the chaos of programs that 2 schools we're close to are looking at going co-ed, small co-ed, from large co-ed, or from having an all-girl and large co-ed and kind of combining to kind of use all their athletes as best as possible. So that'll be an interesting division to watch. Of course, we'll allow predictions for that. We'll put out our sheet and everything.
I don't know who I'm predicting for that. I got to see the schedule.
We're waiting on the schedule, so no worries there, and no pressure, Michelle. Take your time, you sweet angel. And then on the UCA side, the virtual divisions have not been announced. So I think that they're waiting to see how many register and how many teams there are and how they can organize those to create a strong competition. So predictions coming soon for NCAA College, UCA College. It's going to be an exciting April for cheerleading. You got those 2 events, and NHSCC. We have the arrival of our second kid. Our book will be in full swing by then for sale. So if you're not on the pre-order list on our website, you can get on that. You don't have to pay for anything yet. You just get notified of when the pre-order is available. So that will be...
Final prototype is like, if you're watching on the YouTube page, we have the final prototype. I know... 5 months ago, we showed you guys our initial prototype, and as we were going through it, don't give away too much. As we were going through it, we had some just nitpicky things that you and I both, as creatives and authors, were like.
And as parents that have to read 6 of these books a day, it's what's going to drive a kid to pick it up?
Yeah, and I hate to toot our own horn, but this is our daughter's favorite book. She grabs it off the shelf. She takes it with her to cheer practice.
I had to take it from her for nap time.
Yeah.
So that we could have it here right now. Yeah. She's napping, and I got yelled at.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. So if you have kids, or if you are going to a baby shower of a cheer coach or an old cheer friend or whatever, this is the perfect gift. It's the perfect present. It's the perfect little giveaway for anybody. Or if you just have a significant other or a boyfriend that knows nothing about cheerleading, we found out last night that we taught my sister's boyfriend a lot of cheer terminology. So enjoy. It's coming so soon. It feels like we literally started working on this a year ago. It's been a long year, but our final prototype is en route, and I cannot wait
run of print, first editions
to get these into people's hands, and I hope everybody enjoys it so much as we're enjoying it, and as much as our daughter loves it.
Last promo, if you're interested in the cheerleading alphabet book that we wrote called ABC Cheer With Me, you can go to abccheerwithme.com and get on our pre-order list. It should be for sale by the end of March, and definitely by April. So we look forward to getting all of these books. We're going to have so many boxes.
We're going to have so many orders.
All of these boxes and books shipped out to everybody. It's just going to be so great. And
that's what I'm doing on maternity leave. Filling orders. So send them in, guys. Send them in.
For sure.
We're excited.
That wraps up episode 14.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys for being patient on
hanging
us,
in there with us,
and being patient on the sport. I know it's been crazy. Good luck to everybody competing this next week who's getting back into competition. We're rooting for you. We hope that it just goes well.
Yeah.
It's great to be back at cheerleading again, and we hope you all get to experience that soon.
Music's off.
You ready for this? Who live is this? Who lit is this? Who real is this? We too legit. We are M-A-R-K-T-H-R-U. Mark Thru Podcast. Listen and learn, watch and observe, challenging us. They got some nerve, we great. You mad? Don't hate. Get to it. Don't wait. We do not hesitate. We doing what it takes. What we do. Mark Thru.